Welcome to solverfy.
In this video, I will be drawing 7 carbon compounds. So we'll start with a 7 carbon compound with a 6 carbon ring and 1 double bond. I'm going to do this in a systematic way so I don't miss a skeleton. So we're going to keep the configuration of carbons and just keep moving that double bond over down the carbon ring or carbon chain. Okay, now we'll use a different configuration by adding the extra carbon to the third carbon in the chain. We'll start with double bond between the first and second carbons and move it down the ring. And this time we can also put a double bond here to this extra carbon. So there are your 11 options for drawing a skeleton with 7 carbons, a 6 carbon chain, and 1 double bond. Now we're going to draw 7 carbon compounds with 5 carbon chains and 1 double bond. So we'll start with the 5 carbon chain. We can add our 6th and 7th carbons on the second carbon in the chain, and then we can put a double bond here, or if we put our extra carbons in the same place, we can also put a double bond here. We can't put our double bond between the first and second or the second and third carbons in the chain because the second carbon in the chain is already bonded 4 times. So we can use a different configuration and put our double bond there, or we can keep moving our double bond down. Now here we need to also draw, if our double bond's there, we need to also draw it so that these carbons are on the same side of the carbon chain, and that's because the double bond restricts movement of those carbons it's bonded within the bond. So we'll keep moving that double bond down the chain. Now we can use a different configuration of carbons. We can put both of our carbons right here on the third carbon in the chain. And in this case, we can put our double bond here. And in this configuration, that's the only place we can put the double bond. If we were to put it on the other side in a different drawing, that would be redundant. So we'll use a different configuration. As you can see, all 3 branches of this molecule that are connected to this central carbon, all 3 branches have 2 carbons. So it's very symmetrical. So we only need to draw 2 skeletons in order to show all possible combinations of this compound or this configuration of carbons. Okay, now our final configuration is going to be adding our extra carbons on the second and fourth carbons in the chain. We can put a double bond there. We can put one here. Or there. And then back to our previous configuration. I did forget one. While you're working your way, moving the double bond down the chain, you need to remember to add a double bond to any branches that you can put a double bond on as well. So we can add a double bond to the carbon that's bonded to the third carbon in the chain. We don't want to add a double bond up here because we already drew that over here. So I'm going to erase this. And we have 14 ways to draw a 7-carbon compound with a 5-carbon ring and 1 double bond. Now we're going to draw 7-carbon compounds with a 5-carbon ring and no double bonds. So we'll start with our ring. We can have both of our extra carbons bonded to the same carbon in the ring. We can also make a chain out of those 2 carbons. We can put those carbons on adjacent carbons in the ring, or we can separate these 2 extra carbons even more. And those are your 4 ways to draw skeletons for a 7-carbon compound with a 5-carbon ring and no double bonds.